Ebusiafo ye chiamu nyina stade da bia ye de ensemu a ekoso ewo man Ghana emunchirimu ebremo no ene nso yatena se a ye de Ghana nsem ahodo a ekoso no ye de emunchirimu ankasa ni mu asukodo no eba besomwo madaroma ene nsemu a ye de bremo no wei eye Kontonkyi TV Kontonkyi radio kase ena yede ensomo no na de edimu akotene no ebi ene se Office of the Special Prosecutor Penyimpa Odano Micheye Rekisi Jabin ene waba abontene ne Ghana fo abedi nkomo ne kese pa efa onmunyamfo kenufori ata ho akane finance minister make us say we declare ni wanted eni mu nsem bebrebe a yede besomo sansem kroya no ene Ghana o memra hyebedwafo tenase na wo mudi hu nkomo na hyebedwafo no dom kuma ne dom dodo no nipa ahodo binum akasa de afa ensemi ho a ni nyina no yede eba besomo abusuafo nsem foforo mu no Independence Day celebration a afibia yeye na yede kai Ghana ye fa ahudi a yenyaye no wonim se omampanyin dada na adanko akufo ado abreso no eye ne se yede komanta ahodo ntibroni beka se ne rotate no aben abebo amane se saade no yetwam na sai na sese yebeye no adan suntia yede munchiremu no eba abusuafo mra yeto aba no eyi mampanyin mra hyebedwafo ni wie 7 December no eda no yeto aba ni wie yade kyen ye ko ne nya ne ntie se omampanyin dada na adanko akufo ado wafa nkofo enwumam kira aban nwuma ahodo mu nene enkra efri mampanyin atena ye aba ene se sa employment no nipa ofa omo ni nyina no appointment no broni beka se terminate ni yetwam enti no so ehun nsem no ye de ba be sommo medin ede afia anima otu oda abo AJB me producer berema ye bo asua ma me bema ene ye de dwumadie ebremu abusuafo ye nhyase na ensem no emunchiremu no ye mfa ni nyina emremu ye hyase a ene ensemu a eda paso ayese namo ayaho ne nkofo edi na tewie Office of the Special Prosecutor OSP ni press conference and nsem twafo enhyiemu a woyeye na nsem odi tudwa abusuafo na de fa yewura kenoforiata akane finance minister nsem ho no eno ne edi mu nkyiremu ebremu yi abusuafo ni nyina ne se ene yewura kisi Jabin nsem twafo enhyiemu no nkyiremu ni se yenyane ntie enrada ne nansentem se yewa kenoforiata na tena ye no enipa bi akọ ready wo kire sa asrafo bi ni bambofo bi akoto ahya tena ye no eso na eno no yewa kisi Jabin kire sansem ni mu se free special prosecutor tena ye na wo madwuma a wo mudi wo memu no nya saa eno mo ye wo madwuma no na wo sanso kire mu kura se wo hu ni se saa nipa na sempo bambofo a ekokoto de hye eye omampanyin dada na abreso finance minister yewura kenoforiata efie no wo hu ni se yewura kenoforiata na stage je so onim hu bi wono ankasa na onim kwan ofa so mo hye saade no na se eye special prosecutor wo matena ye wo mudwumadie de wo mu ni wo mudwumadie saa abusuafo no achi no osanso kiremu na ehia papa obebusa se edi enti ne declare Special Prosecutor declare yewura kenoforiata wanted fi say asam no de ekowia no yeso declare no fugitive je say ye no ayehu no odwane ti ye pe no na abusuafo eniema num Special Prosecutor boboso adekode poten ne niema yewura kenoforiata ne nsa forifori mu a enenti ozu se etwa Special Prosecutor tena ye no frɛ no na wo mo ye nhwemu fa ho a wo mo frɛ no abono wo maaye na emu nhwemu no mo nsentumi nkan o si dumie bia na lawyer for the nkraba so yare ntinkyeremu o de ma Special Prosecutor tena ye no eni nkyeremu a empo na lawyer for de ba no ebo abira na kyerɛ se wo ye Special Prosecutor tena ye no krokro da John wodu o mo ho agro nya de se efre no ayafre no pese oba eni nti ne kan bia declare no wanted na abusuafo ensem a yedi gina so no madaro mamum yentie emu enkyiremu no hohia papa ewia ya behwese the Special Prosecutor timi kyerɛkyerɛ ensem no mira na o declare no wanted na yenhwɛ points no anase mpo case a sobo yɛde ɛbɔ owura kenoforiata de di kan no yes strategic mobilization Ghana Limited ɛna afa GRA contract SMG Limited any GRA Ghana Revenue Authority contract bi koso ema yɛwura kenoforiata ona na ɛhwɛ ɔman ne sikasɛm so finance minister nti ne nsa fɔre ni ma nneɛma bi mu ehu ni sɛ dream de ni kataahye bi ɛkɔso anaasɛ ehia nkyerɛmu bi efiri ne hɔ ɛwɔ saa contract anaasɛ contract a yɛde ma strategic mobilization Ghana Limited na afei GRA Ghana Revenue Authority nti ɛno yɛ de di kan de ɛtɔ so biam yɛ ECG Electricity Company of Ghana nti ɛno yɛ ECG ɛna afei Benjamin Technology Limited wɔn contractor yɛ terminate yɛ na kyerɛ sɛ contract bi kɔ so wɔ ECG na afei Benjamin Technology Limited abusuafoɔ yɛ mmerɛ na ɛno no yɛsi etwam enti saa contract no a yɛtwam anaasɛ contract no a Benjamin Technology Limited ɛne ECG contract na yɛtwam no ɛno emu kyerɛmu ɛne sikasɛm bi ne kwan ɛfa so twam no do betumi ayi ano yie ɛyɛ owura ken oforiata aka ne sikasɛm soafoɔ enti ɛno ɛyɛ de ɛtɔ so mienu de ka ho biem ɛyɛ National Cathedral Project na National Cathedral Project yi ɛno so yɛ nyinaa yɛ nim Ghana ha ensɛm a akokɔ so ɛwɔ National Cathedral nsɛm no a ɛnya afɛ ne yɛ ba be kansɛm bebre National Cathedral no ahyase no na mpanyimfoɔ kyerɛ sɛ yɛmfa ɔman ne sika ekodura se a budget bi a yɛwura kenoforiata kɔkenkan baako bi ne kɔtɔ mu sɛ yɛtam ɔman ne sika ɛde akɔwura National Cathedral no mu enti yɛse National Cathedral so sika sɛm no yɛhia yɛwura kenoforiata nkyerɛmu bi ɛwɔ hɔ afei procurement of ambulances some bekai ambulance ho nsensɛm bi ɛno so ɛbɛyɛ he wɔ man Ghana ha kɔ wie yɛse akɔfa ambulance bi aba ambulance no enye papa ambulance ye de enye ye emunsem bebre utiti bi yesi saa de no so special prosecutor say ye hia ye rakenoforiata so bebusabusa nsem fisika ona na finance minister sika ne beko sika ne ba ne nyina agina no so se akan sika twitwi de se de kota ambulance beba no na ambulance ye de enye ye bibia nsisim enye papa eno so ho nsem no wo hia enkyiremu ewo ho afei yesi GRA fo wo mo tax bi ene ho enkontabuo kwan efa so tuatuaye anti GRA's tax refund accounts payments enti eno so GRA fo wo mo sikasem bi ene ho nkontabuo kwan efa so tua sika no ene ho hyehyeye no ba bia sika ne bi faaye ene sika na esi etuaye no se de sika no ne de koye no saa na esi koye ne ho nsem no ye hu ne se enti ase ni ho papa sikasem bia ma ne nkwanta wo baabi bibia fo bi nsase ensi ewura kenoforiata ne nipa ono ebetumi ayi sansem na nti abusuafo se de ewura kisi ajaben si bi bo ensem ya me boboso yi madaroma obi ankoka se efie bo ne sire mu ka panyifo se ka akum ye gine kwakuo na nanum yentie kwakuo no madaroma
for the stated objective of the enhancement of revenue assurance in the downstream petroleum sector, upstream petroleum production, and minerals and metals resources value chain. 2. Termination of a distribution, loss reduction, and associated network improvement project contract between the Electricity Company of Ghana Limited and Beijing Zhao Technology BXC. 3. Procurement of contractors and materials and activities and payments in respect of the National Cathedral project. 4. Activities and payments in respect of a contract awarded by the Ministry of Health, initially commenced by the Ministry for Special Development Initiatives to Service Ghana Auto Group Limited for purchases and after-sales service and maintenance of 307 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter 305 CDI ambulances for the National Ambulance Service. And 5. Payments out of and utilization of the tax refund account of Ghana Revenue Authority. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, the fugitive's name is Kenneth Nanaya Oforiata. Mr. Oforiata is 66 years old. He was the Minister of Finance of the Republic between 2017 and 2024. Mr. Oforiata left the jurisdiction on or around 2 January 2025. On 24 January 2025, the OSP communicated to Mr. Oforiatta that the OSP considered him a suspect in respect of 4 of the cases described above. Mr. Oforiatta was directed to attend in person the OSP on Monday, 10 February 2025 at 10 GMT for interview. By communication dated 31 January 2025, Mr. Oforiatta instructed his lawyers to inform the OSP that he was out of the jurisdiction indefinitely on medical grounds, and that the firm will notify the OSP of his arrival in the country in aid of rescheduling his personal attendance at the OSP. Further, the firm offered its willingness to provide the OSP with any information the OSP may require to aid in the investigation until his arrival in the country. Then on 5 February 2025, the OSP responded to Mr. Oforiatta, copied to his lawyers, that the OSP did not need or require notification from his lawyers of his arrival in the jurisdiction. The OSP acknowledged Mr. Oforiatta's lawyers' gracious offer to provide the OSP with information in aid of the investigation. However, and this is important, the OSP insisted that Mr. Oforiatta's personal attendance at the OSP was required. After all, the lawyers are not under investigation. I don't need lawyers to answer questions on your behalf when you are being investigated. The OSP declined Mr. Oforiatta's request to be away from the jurisdiction indefinitely on medical grounds on his say-so. Consequently, the OSP directed Mr. Oforiatta to indicate by close of business on Monday, 10 February 2025, a reasonable date of his return to the jurisdiction and attendance at the OSP. The OSP warned Mr. Oforiatta that if he failed so to do, the OSP would take all necessary legal steps to secure his return to the jurisdiction and attendance at the OSP at our own choosing. Subsequently, by communication dated 10 February 2025, that is just Monday, Mr. Oforiatta's lawyers transmitted to the OSP a generic letter procured by Mr. Oforiatta purporting to be from a doctor in a foreign jurisdiction, stating that Mr. Oforiatta had been seen and evaluated and that he was undergoing further testing and management and possible surgical intervention at an indicated future time. And further, that his medical condition necessitates that he will stay and follow up on his appointments. On account of this purported medical letter, Mr. Oforiatta's lawyers prayed that the attendance in person of Mr. Oforiatta at the OSP should be fixed, taking into account the medical report from his doctors. And at 4:16 p.m. the very next day, it is yesterday, Tuesday, 11 February 2025, before we could respond to the letter that came on Monday, the OSP received another letter from Mr. Oforiatta's lawyers. This time, it was an inquiry. Mr. Oforiatta's lawyers wanted to know, and they stated that they were informed by the household of Mr. Oforiatta that in the morning of Tuesday, 11 February 2025, that is yesterday, 12 men, comprising 1 police officer, 4 military men, and 7 other men in plain clothing, visited Mr. Oforiatta's house, and that by threat of force, they were able to enter Mr. Oforiatta's house, and they undertook an exercise purporting to be a search of every room, office, gym, and other spaces in the house. Mr. Oforiatta's lawyers then inquired if the OSP could confirm.
Cuta eboboso no charges ahodo niema yesu se yeru akenu Oforiatta ne nsa afore mu a eniti ehia so oba omanim na afi odi mu nchirechiremu ene anu ye ni nsembisa bi omuso hia no ede ema na ye kama ne no wo kire se wo mato ne nkra bebre enkra ne kwa no ono so de nkra ba ekire kura de wo mo hwe nkrata a ode ma na lawyer fo ni nchiremu a mo de fa nkrata nso be kire wo mo a yeru akenu Oforiatta so do mbeso musi kire nse ye na pray han na wo yare tweso ni krom ha ensem bebrebe a wo muso hu ni se yeru akenu Oforiatta any situation a ontumi nya ne ho hwe a ontumi sore enante enko baabie na wo wodi sa krata ne badge wada na de chi Tuesday no musanya krata efri yewura kanuforiata aloyafo ho biem se ebinada no nipa bi esu se omo ye asrafo bi abebo awura ne dem abo awura ne fie hwehwe ne yemem eno na o che special prosecutor wo mo nye wo mo adwuma saa eni to mo hu ne se sankrata efri yewura kanuforiata eho ba ne nyina se wo resist investigations special prosecutor no epese wo ye ompese ombe ye wo mo adwuma to mo hu ne se saa ne ma ne de ni reasons no de aba no mo gitum enye enti da se yewura kanuforiato no abeba anasa special prosecutor no ebetwe no aba wono anim na ensemo a yesu se ohia emu nkyeremu anaso mo hia mu hwehwemu no watumi aboa masan hwehwemu no etumi akoso na abusuafo emra oka yewura kanuforiata ehon nsem na o declare wanted anasa fugitive no madaroma eno so no yenko na yenko hwese de yewura kisi ageben special prosecutor Ochiremu
Foriata directly but through you, the media. Mr. Foriata, the OSP did not raid your house on Tuesday, 11 February 2025 or on any other day. Mr. Oforiata, the OSP did not cause any persons, however uniformed or bedecked, to raid your house on Tuesday, 11 February 2025 or on any other day. Mr. Oforiata, that could not have been the OSP, and that is not our style. If the OSP enters your premises, you will not be in doubt as to whether it was the OSP that had come there, and your lawyers will not have cause to do an inquiry ascertaining whether it was the OSP. We have our unique methods of conducting searches, and we have uniquely designed insignia identifying ourselves, and not just by a statement that we are from the OSP. This is one such main insignia. A person cannot just show up and say they are from the OSP. It's cheap. Anyone can say that. But when the OSP enters your premises, you will definitely know by our insignia, our methods, and the way we identify ourselves that this is the OSP. Our intelligence points us to state that the purported raid on Mr. Oforiata's residence was staged, or at best, an imposter action in an attempt to court disfavor for the OSP and to derail the investigation. You know us very well. The OSP is never deterred by such occurrences, and the investigations will continue as by law prescribed. These occurrences and the OSP's intelligence, which will not be revealed at this time for fear of compromising the investigation, are very instructive as not to put premium on Mr. Oforiata's alleged imminent peril should he travel back to the jurisdiction. In any case, the purported medical letter transmitted through his lawyers to the OSP did not state so or demonstrate so. The OSP is unconvinced that the purported medical letter transmitted by Mr. Oforiata through his lawyers to the OSP represents a medical report to the effect that Mr. Oforiata is incapacitated or is so sickly and invalid to the extent that he is physically unable to return to the jurisdiction without imperiling his life. No serious law enforcement agency, and certainly not the OSP, will be convinced that the purported medical letter stops it from demanding the physical appearance of Mr. Oforiata before it in the described circumstances. We are of the firm conviction here that this is only a ruse employed by Mr. Oforiata in aid of his intention to avoid returning to the jurisdiction and to personally answer questions in respect of the investigations. We are convinced that the real intention of Mr. Oforiata is what was communicated to the OSP in the very first letter transmitted by his lawyers on 31 January 2025. That is, he has left the jurisdiction indefinitely. That was what was communicated to us at the first instance, and that is his intention. He has no intention of willingly returning to the jurisdiction. That much is clear to us. Consequently, ladies and gentlemen of the media, the OSP declares Kenneth Nanaya Oforiata a wanted person. He is a fugitive from justice. The OSP will take all necessary legal steps to secure his return to the jurisdiction and attendance at the OSP. And this is to Mr. Oforiata. You have two choices. You can either return to the jurisdiction voluntarily, or the OSP will enforce your return.
abusiafo wei yewura kisi ejeben enene enchiremu a ewo ho efa anamontu a Office of the Special Prosecutor wanumutuo ediafa yewura kenoforiata ekane Finance Minister anasa omansuafo anu ohwe yen sikasem esuo no womone no eho nsem baabi akoduru ene anamon no amutuo no ene sese declare wanted ana fugitive eno so yesi yehwehwe no na wayera eno ho nsem na yehu no wadwane emu nsem ni mu nkyiremu na ate se wode ba ya yenso ya breaking it down ede amamo no abusuafo saa ensem we ya ho no ene omemra hye bedwam ne ene nya asem ketewa pani kohemra hye bedwafie wa wonim Ghana asem eba saa no amra hye bedwafo nso bobo ho wo mudi ho nkomo ne na dom kumane ne dom dodo no mo so ayo mo hu bi papa ewo sansem yi ho ewo man mra hye bedwam ye di kan akọ so yewura afenyo markings dom kumano ba no dani meche minority leader ewo Ghana mra hye bedwafie ene nani anye kwa o se sansem a wote ye no enye de na se Office of the Special Prosecutor na yewura kisi Japan ebeba be declare yewura ekane sikasem soafo fugitive de achese entwa yie de etoso biem so enipa na wo mokọ ready ni fie no etwase e kasetia fisa nyefe se nipa bi betumi akobodompem ewo obi a wabeye o man sikasoafo eso epen ewo krom ha de ade no enye ne denti na wotwe ho apopa ewo man mra hye bedwuma na ni breye e kasetia saa ne ye no a akoso ewo man mu no.
Be careful when we say that soldiers were sent, because no soldier was sent to the residence of the defense minister. Mr. Speaker, please, let's be cautious.
Honorable Minority Leader, I recognize Honorable Majority Leader on a point of order. Are you also on a point of order against the point of order?
Mr. Speaker, with the greatest respect, take it easy. He didn't say he was up on a point of order. Mr. Speaker, he didn't say so. He didn't say so. And please allow, he made an intervention for the good of us. I am back on the same level, please. Mr. Speaker, I agree with the Honorable Leader of the House that we should tread cautiously. Rightly so. But, Mr. Speaker, we have heard a colleague make a statement for Hansa that the respected senior member sent soldiers here to kill us. Those were the words. Mr. Speaker, in the same spirit, we need to be careful. Two, I have publicly acknowledged the diplomacy of the majority leader, and I have no reason to doubt him. But I always act in good faith. I shared with him, although private, but I will tender it since it has been raised. Videos of soldiers in uniform raiding the residence of Mr. Kenoforiata. Mr. Speaker, indeed, he is right in saying that the man being spoken about as the one leading the team is now a civilian. That is true. Mr. Richard Jakwa, who works with national security, and indeed the one who led the soldiers, is a state security operative. But, Mr. Speaker, the point is very clear. Are you very sure that it's a state security operative? Mr. Speaker, he says so. It's not coming from me. He confirmed. These are the words of the majority leader. It's not mine. This is Japan. That is what, So, Mr. Speaker, yes, he has confirmed. He says he is a state security operative. It's not coming from me. Mr. Speaker, I have shared the videos with him, and I was fair in my dealings with him by saying that this is a matter that I want to raise. So, Mr. Speaker, let us be guided by what he has just told us and allow our colleague to proceed. I have gotten a signal from my respected colleague who has just been nominated as a deputy minister that he wants to withdraw that aspect of the submission. Oh, he says so, please. It's not, Mr. Speaker, I will not impose anything on him. He signaled that in view of the caution from the leader, he wants to withdraw. If he wants to, that is his matter. I am only telling Mr. Speaker, that's the signal he's giving me. Mr. Speaker, let's be fair with each other. This democracy that you are celebrating today.
Honorable Minority Leader, conclude.
Unmunyamfo afenyo Markins edom kuma no ba no dani wo Ghana mrahye ena uhu no a wote so wo kirikirimu se de course no enye fe se nipa bi kwa ready ni fie eraka no furiata na afei ewiase ese edike ne wonte ne ade ne nyina ya ade a na ni nye ho enti emu nsem na wote so no so ekirim no achi ena onmunyamfo Steven Amoa dodo na afa ne stika wono so kasaye se wono wodwene ho a wonte ase se ye declare yewura kanoforiata aka ne finance minister fugitive se nipa no onwane oso kanoforiata nwane nko ba bia eti declare no fugitive obi as wo dwane anase jese o yi ne ho kra free bia mremu anase mpo bibia etesa no wodwene ho a wonte ase ne nsema hodo bi no waka se no krani na ni bre ne e wo mrahye bedwam yeso do osi tutu ne nsa wese de ye ni abre no a na kire se asem no anya ne de.
And it is time we put an end to what we are doing to each other. Mr. Speaker, some of the descriptions they give in, some even went to the extent of saying that the economy that he left, in fact, I cannot repeat those evil words they use in-house. Mr. Speaker, 2016, the economic Kontonkyi inherited was growing at 3.4%. Mr. Speaker, the inflationary rate was 15.4. Mr. Speaker, lending rate was about 40%. But for COVID, by 2019, we were growing 7%. Inflation was 7%. Under Oforiata, we had been able to implement one of the most enviable pro-poor policies on the continent of Africa. How could you describe such a man because of global crisis? Your own former finance minister, do you know the description you are giving to your country? Do you know how you are placing Ghana on the globe because of politics? Do you know what you are doing to your country? Very soon, your ministers will be leaving Ghana for other places, for international assignments. And this is what they will read from your own lips. Mr. Speaker, we shouldn't allow this outmoded, colloquial, primitive politics to continue to destroy our country. Mr. Speaker, we are one people with one destiny as a nation. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable
Steven Amoa.
Honorable Steven Amoa, did I hear you say primitive politics?
No, I'm talking about Ghana.
Will you consider withdrawing the word primitive politics?
Okay. Mr. Speaker, with your indulgence, I have done so. But Mr. Speaker, I think I have to make myself clearer here. I am not even speaking against one side. I am talking about actions and inactions, omissions and behaviors that are dwindling the very reputation of this house. We've been doing this to ourselves for far too long. Now, every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there, even if you are driving a Land Cruiser, they think you're a politician, whether in DCMP, they don't respect us. And this is why I'm bringing it to our attention, that we allow yesterday's propaganda or actions or omissions to continue to keep on destroying the very image and reputation of this August house. Is that what we want to do? This is the question I'm asking. Mr. Speaker, I Are we teaching the younger generation what we are doing today? Mr. Speaker, what does the Constitution say? Article 18, Clause 2. With your permission. A. No one shall be subjected to the interference of his private home and properties. Has that happened or not? The very Constitution that we ourselves, the very laws that we ourselves make, we are undermining the same laws because of politics. We should not sit here and because of politics forget the fact that the same kind of rata made your family members have free school. Your nephews, your children, your aunties, your friends, your mosque members, your church members. But for kind of rata, they would have been home. Let us stop these things against either NDC or MPP. Let us maintain our reputations as a house. Let us believe in one fact that we are one people with a common destiny as a country. All these things we must stop. That is what I mean. Yesterday's politics we should forget. Because we are destroying each other. And we call ourselves honorable members. We all deserve that. But please, Mr. Speaker, what I'm trying to tell the House is that sometimes, because of politics, we say these things, we think we are joking. But those out there, they believe in what we say and they disrespect all of us. Let us protect each other.
For way Steven Amwa unmunyam Fostika enono. Hwese de nia brabo ni siutu. De ne ta ya boni minimu na krachi ni toto ne nsa bonkumi nifa e wo mrahye bedwemu a abusuafo tum se na nia bre ne papa wa kwan e wo mrahye bedwefie pese o kire se subuo bi ade bobo no se esu se mponi pa no kra ne nsa aforefo ne bi mu a na e declare ne fugitive ne e wadwane na declare ne wanted ne ade no anya ne de tinene ni biri ye papa e wo man mrahye bedwefie enu achi so na NDC mrahye no enso kasai pa na wo muso akwan ne e ba se ya we se anya na we su defend sa se da bi enim no anu sa na ekoso enso ne onmonyamfo ginapo wo sori ye no so say sa fugitive no a ye declare na special prosecutor orek sejeben e declare yewura Ken Oforiata e kane Ghana sikasem so afo no e kire se wo dwane nti wo mu so wo nwane ye no bi ti se o rust kanu ni nipa bi o so nwane ye no ye declare fugitive a e kire se o ti do ye hwewa ye hu wa chimfuturo ehu bebe wafa na sansem ye ne aba ase enipa bi ni MPP fo binum ti sumra hye badwafo ni bi ani abra aso mo ntia se wonom de bidi no ne kwan yo mfa aso boardom pimrewura ni fie ye ni kutukutu no ene omo de abade a ene no no omo ni abrese de omo hu bida na ono aka na asem ye ntie no.
You should know that when something is public record, especially in this house, we do not tender any evidence. Professor Mike Okwe, then Speaker, made a ruling on the matter in this chamber. You were seated here. Professor Mike Okwe wrote to the CID in respect of this matter. And so what other evidence do you want me to tender when it's captured in the Hansard? Anything captured in the Hansard, you don't tender any evidence. Mr. Speaker, I am saying that on that fateful day, Mr. Speaker, on that fateful day, when my house was raided by AK-47 wielding national security operatives, when they banged on my door, creating fear and panic, sending my 6-year-old child into a state of hysteria, into a state of fear. We had members here. They never commented on it. And I commend Professor Michael Kwe on that day when he stood up and ruled that what they were doing was wrong. Mr. Speaker, they took my phone, they took my laptops, and took it to the United Kingdom to investigate me. Today, a very simple matter. You are scared of it. Mr. Speaker, let me explain something. The OSC has declared Mr. Ken Oforiata as a fugitive. As a fugitive. Mr. Speaker, in our local language, fugitive in our local language. It means that what didn't work kamura. What didn't work kamura. Or to put it simply, wajibam.
Ebusuafo wei eye onumonyamfo Jinapo eno no so ne floor of parliament ho ne ni bri ya ne ni abre ekeka twi akese se ye kase fugitive a kire se dipa no wadwane mre bi atwa mu abanda da no so omo kɔ no so ba wo ni bidie no ne nsema hodoɔ bebre nti na de Ghana mra se badwam wo ma kyera ka so dom kuma ndi sei dom dodoɔ no so sei enti NDC mra se badwafo na onumonyamfo adongo so kasae na o kasaro na kyerɛ se nani abriye pa kwan ya ebra fanyoma akense sore ye no hye ase so okasa ye condemn sa act na akoso no si e declare obi fugitive obi ready obi fie ni ade ni nyina anya ade papa no na ye kaka ho no e na onmunyamfo adongo subufu ni ne kyereka so pa se eniema edom kuma ne ye omrahye bedwam no nya ade se betumi ase wo kwan sa asemu aba e fa ye rakerofuri ata ho no ye nka ana ye nomu asukọ na de ewom no e medadwa emu obia ehunu se de sitieti kwai bia so no asam ne de won be kan do mu asukọ na ye po special prosecutor e declare ye bra kanofori ata wanted se declare fugitive se ye so wadwane a ye rent ne dem dom kuma ne be kan no e ne be si wo mo kwan se wo mo nkyere mo adwene
that this side of the house brought this matter up questioning the mood of the action taken by state security operatives. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the argument being made by my colleague is to the effect that the man has committed some crimes and we are defending. Mr. Speaker, let it be known by him. Let it be known by him that as he is now in this chamber, he is aspiring into public office. He is seriously lobbying to be made a deputy minister. Mr. Speaker, he has not even been recognized. It is some of these unguarded statements. That is why he has not been recognized. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about the mode of the raid, the arrest. We are not saying that if the state has evidence against Kenoforiata, you shouldn't try him. Well. Mr. Speaker, if indeed there is an issue against him, the state can try him. Then he can have access to his lawyers. Leader. But you cannot accuse him that the man is guilty. Leader, I'll come to you. Because you have your time so that you can address all these things, please. Mr. Speaker, he has to withdraw that part of the submission. Leader, which part? These are my views. Go on. Yeah, they are my views. The minority leader doesn't tell me what to say in this house. He doesn't dictate to me what I say in this house. And I'm saying that when, as a government, you decided to violate the Public Financial Management Act with impunity, this day was coming, and it has arrived. The Public Financial Management Act is very clear. The Public Financial Management Act is very clear that you cannot commit this state to a multi-year contract without the Minister for Finance, himself issuing a commencement certificate. And yet, after he issued a commencement certificate, he was still drawing on contingency fund as if he didn't know about the project. And he thought that you could do that as long as you want. But the subject is that the OSP has spelled out the reasons why he's looking for him. And I'm discussing what the OSP is calling him for. That when he decided to engage in multi-year transactions and refused the approval of Parliament, knowing very well the implications in the Public Financial Management Act, he knew that he would answer for it one day. And that you are now asking us to do what? Not to discuss a fugitive. We shouldn't discuss a fugitive. Is that what you're asking? Or to clean him up even though he's a fugitive? So when you came here, you knew that the product you were selling, you could not sell it. And we warned you. We warned you and you did. You can warn me as long as you want. But the important thing is that
Ebusefo weye onmonyamfo adongo ene nsem we nyina akoso e Ghana man mra hyebedefie emra special prosecutor ede na ma ne bone bawie ya ape na eye parliament so tenase no wo mu bobo hu seso adwene ti dom kuma ne gina fa dom dodo so egina fa saa pepepe ne si ekoye na ene kuya nso yewura Felix kwachi ofusu won na edi nkita ho o mampanyini atena ye ho ne Ghana fo kasa ne wo ye mid the press one nsemtwofo ehyiaye na abusuafo nsemtwofo ehia mu no na asem no enyina no na ne kasepa no egina Independence Day Ghana na enya ye fa ahodie no ye nyina enim se wo ho a 6 March bia ye kai 6 March 1957 no ho a March bia na ya kai se o February busumi no enche ne yewura March no tikwan bia so saa na afi so ye be celebrate Independence Day no ye be kai se de esitie no a na abusuafo emra no mampanyi dada na adoda nko akufu ado no ote akonwa so no odin hye bi ba ya edu 6 March no a na afi bia ye komantam ahodo bi ne kodinti mantam dunsia no na ye chiri ni nyina so tini efre bibi se rotation na ye rotate Independence Day celebration no bi afi we ye kodi ewo nkramantamu a afefofro na ye ko asante mantamu afefofro ne ye ko ho saa na ne ye no a kakra na ye wura Felix kwachi ofusu abebo amane se mampanyi John Dramani Mahama se said your my Ghana says enyina enim sene mankoye sikasam nye Ghana sabie konya de paye ho a yenhu yasene mu na ye hwese oman no betumi asi ye nti no sabie hwe ye ho na ye hwe yataade no ye ya size no ne ehuntoma no said ye de pamataade no ebekoyen se obi free asante mantama na se kumase no okonkran a yetumi de aeroplane ko yetumi de bus ne kura ye wo mu ahodo grace and answer levels ewom sanso na betumi de wa na asa trotro akọ ebe depending on ho ni usika ne sede usu pesa usikura wo ho na wahunu de obefa de akọ nti Ghana no baby ejina sesie no sa rotation no a na Independence Day no ye no o kire se ka won ba na o mo hweye no ka ye kwa ye bọ no enti sede ye be ni nyina won kan no ti sesie ya Ghana no akodum pempenso a ye hwese ne mankoyi ne be siesie no no so say o kate cost so na yetumi atoto ne ma yie no yen spend basa ne de mampanyina tena ye no atena se de hu nkoma hunu se etwa se sa Independence Day na e rotate no put hold on it na so omujai kopim bra wo hunu se bia Ghana no afantam pafira eduru ba bia betumi akoye bia ka no kra na nkofa ha obi ama se entumi nsan koboka foforo dindindi bia ewom etise de nchiremu a yewura di aba no na enhihya ahodo pi no a waka de Independence Day no se de bia tie school for ma che ne ho hyehyeye no ye beye ne kese no won kran na afi no obia so ahwe na ba bia obia wo se de bia tie ne ya maake na emom se oman no mu mpanyimfo nyina afri nkran ne yakwa akodi na ba bi foforo se de ya na yetaye ne si esikasem nti no wo mo ayo madwen se yenye ne sa sei ene uchirim
its independence from British colonial rule. And since then, every year, there has been national celebrations to mark that momentous occasion. In the last few years, however, there has been an effort to rotate the celebrations amongst various regional capitals. Now, whereas the intentions behind that may be noble, President Mahama has asked that rotational policy be suspended because of the need to scale down. And this has become necessary due to escalating costs. It has been discovered after some review that the rotation imposed additional costs. And therefore, at a time when our national budget is severely constrained due to economic difficulties, it was not going to be sustainable to keep rotating the national celebrations. Indeed, if I were to put figures on how much it costs to hold these celebrations, you will find that depending on where the celebrations are sent, there are significant cost implications. For instance, the last celebrations that were held in Ho cost the country a staggering 15 million Ghana cedis. And every time that it has been sent to a different regional capital, apart from Accra, we've had to bear such costs. In the spirit of cutting down on government expenditure, on non-essential expenditure, President Mahama has instructed that this rotational policy be suspended. In addition to this, the main celebrations, which ordinarily would have taken place in Accra at the Independence Square, has also become the subject of some rollback. President Mahama believes that, yes, there is much to celebrate over Ghana's independence. It is perhaps the most significant happening in our entire history as a country. And he acknowledges the need to celebrate this in a manner that befits our status as an independent country. Nonetheless, he is also minded by the parlous state of the economy and the various competing needs and the fact that there are critical sectors of our national life that do not receive adequate or anything near to adequate funding. He believes that at this moment in time, there is a need to reprioritize government expenditure. And one of the areas where savings can be made is this independence celebration. He believes that it is entirely possible to hold modest but significant events to mark this important occasion without breaking the national pace. For that reason, he has decided that this year's celebration will not take on the spectacular form that we have been used to over the years. Rather than a major event at the Independence Square, where there are contingents of men from the various security agencies and hundreds of school children, I beg your pardon, from across the country who march briskly to applause and cheers. We are going to have a significant ceremony at the presidency. And this will ensure that we minimize the often huge financial implications that come with this celebration. For that reason, I am going to announce a series of activities which will be held at the presidency, or if you like, Jubilee House, as it is now called. There is going to be a military guard of honor that will be reviewed by His Excellency the President. There will also be a cultural performance by 2 groups of basic school pupils. And then what we consider to be an impactful poetry recital by a senior high school student. Chiefs, religious leaders, basic, secondary, and tertiary students, traders, political party representatives, and other sections of society will be in attendance. This event.
Felix Kwachio Fusu, and I would say all church Independence Day celebration. I say you rotate ni biem, and you debaya ewon crime kwa sane beya. You bet me a cut down cost. Yen say sika bebrebe na aboa me a service kan ye dia ye enema fofora sebie ko anyado eno so ehia ewo omen emu. Madam Roma yenko eye ensem foforo mu kakra Madam Roma emra yeto 2024 elections no a yeto yi mampanyin mra hyebadwafo wieye no yeto abani wieye ya na yete amane bosse nya ne ntie se mampanyin dada na nado danko akufu ado saabre no no ye mampanyini wa fa nipa bi wa adwumam chese wa employ nkofo bi wa ye appointment bi a employ nkofo bi wo nwuma ahodo mi kire aban nwuma ahodo bi mu na eno no omanfo kasa saabre no se ya to aba wo hu se wa anim kunim na asempo wa manyokuo nipa ogina ye no Dr. Mahmoud Bomia wa anim kunim na nipa hofro na edi nkunim ti aban ne besesa de na wo hya ase efa nwuma na ase wo fa nipa bi enwumam di appointment mankofo eno nkofo kan ya duruma bi na yese saa ebusuafo aban mampanyi John Dramani Mahama so afram so aye a wo hye ne dwumadi ase no hwemu a wo maye no di adanse se nukure todo akinye bia ni ho ensem asaabre tete ese eto abawie ye no mampanyi na adanko akufu ado efa nipa bi ewo adwuma mu no nokure wo fa nkofo bi it release no da so no krata free mampanyina tena ya aba se saa nkofo na ye farm nyuma after 7 December me kira aba nyuma nya private sector bia unya wadwuma after 7 December nya wa 7 ye ka government institution bi e ma appointment bi ana ye fa wadwuma bi mu after 7 December no krata free mampanyina tena ya aba se saa nyuma ni nyina no enye papa amfa nhye papa mu enti obi a be kofie boni beka se revoke mo appointment no anasa mo employment no nya de se yagitu weye enti obi a ebe kofie na afi brepem no due process she papa ye faso e de fa nipa nwuma e wa aban ahodo anasa aban nwuma ahodo mu no bibi atumi akoso nti ye fa wadwuma uti ye fa wadwuma obi agapo ha ye fa wadwuma e wo obi a airport ye fa wadwuma e wo chese abadwuma bia mu a titiri security agencies no bi o anya nti ye se ye fa wo madwuma no wo mo ko eye service o sede mo ko ye wo mo ayi na edo mo fam no aha training no abusuafo ye se bi 2 weeks 3 weeks ahu na akoye training 2 weeks ni 3 weeks ya na security adwuma duru ba bia de bi eni kwan so otwutuo kura de onima ni tu atwe de abonipa enti ye won hye pa e fa so e fa nipa e wo nyuma ahoduo mu yesu se sa nipa no o ma mfa hye papa so eni nti e na krata e kire so mu nyina empe ba bi mfa na afei hye pem no bibia e kama ebusuafo ensemi ba ye ebi kasa ebi kire se ya fo mo adwuma kura after 7 December o mo ye Ghana fo ti ye mo kwan mo nya adwuma fi se Ghana fo na ya fo mo nyuma ebi so kire se ye mfa na ye na sa enye ye e won hye ye fa so di nipa bia awura aban nyuma nim enti sa nhye no e na wo se ye fa so enti se ye se nye aban mu a etu abama no no mampanyin no ote so na aban ni sesi e de krata aba se obi ankofi wa revoke obi a appointment and employment no wonyi ntum enti de akwa akosie eno no abusuafo ha na ebegina na ensem wa de brem no ye de esi bibia frito fom a ye de bebrem ha Kontonkyi TV Kontonkyi radio Kontonkyi media midin de afia anima otu ada abo agye bibi producer berema ye bo asua ma me bema ena eboa ya ide nsemi ebrem ye da mu nyina ase ema mo enitia ogye nyado yakramo